With the release of the final episode of Peacemaker, we now have a whole new look at this character, and I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, to rank all 17 the Suicide Squad members from the worst to the best, in my opinion. So this is my ranking of the characters. Hi, my name is T.D.K, and I talk about a bunch of movies a lot on my channel. If you're new here, down below in the comment section, share your ranking of all 17 the Suicide Squad members. By 17, I'm only counting the ones that are actually part and of the Suicide Squad and have like superhero names, stuff like that. I'm only counting those people, and so then I calculated, and there are 17 members of this squad. One thing before we get into mine, you might be wondering why I have a new little place to film now. I thought it'd be fun to have a little change of where I usually film places in my normal room, and I thought it'd be a nice fun little change here. And so I'll still be filming videos over there, but sometimes I'll also be filming over here. And with that said, I'm going to begin the ranking. Coming in last place, Blackguard, our character that we don't really get to see a lot of, although he is played by Pete Davidson. We see him on the plane in the Team 1 mission. We see him walking in prison, like getting a little bit of dialogue between him and Bloodsport, but there's not really any skill set, and he's a traitor. And he's a wimp that is scared of the person sitting next to him. Not really much there to enjoy about him, so he's in last. Number 16, Mongal. Another character is we simply just don't get much out of. Basically, we are only told she could be an alien. She caused the death of another squad member in this film, and we're told a bunch of things. We're not told a bunch of things about her, and she gets one line of dialogue, so can't really place her high on this list. Number 15, Weasel, the character that dies first and then comes back right at the end. Other than that, there's not much here, just some creepy looking Weasel who gets some nice moments on the plane, and then he almost dies, and then is abandoned on Quarter Maltese, obviously, at the end, and so there's not really much of him either. Number 14, Captain Boomerang, one of our few returning characters, and James Gunn brought him back from the 2016 version just to kill him off in this film. He's not a total waste of the character. He tries to do some stuff on the beach. We see a bit of dialogue with him and the other squad members on the plane. He gets a couple kills, so he's not a total waste of a character, but he dies pretty early on in the film. Number 13, T.D.K, the detachable kid, a character who has some nice little banter on the plane with other people, but once again, not really one that we get to know a lot of. The thing that elevates him just a little bit is that he has a weird set of powers, and he gets to annoy the people around him with his powers about his arms, like moving around all around some people. So he's not in last place, but he's a character that I had just a little bit more fun with than the ones on the bottom 4 of this list. Number 12, Savant. It's a Suicide Squad movie, so somebody has got to get their head blown off by Amanda Waller. In this case, it turns out to be Savant. And he's kind of the character we follow around for the first 10 minutes of the film. It's fun to see Michael Rooker in yet another James Gunn movie. And then he dies pretty quickly as he tries to swim away, is a total wimp, and then gets his head blown off. Number 11, Javelin. Our last of the characters that die right at the beginning of this movie. And the reason he's up here is because he's a lot more important in the story than you might initially think, because Harley Quinn takes up his javelin and uses it throughout the film for purposes to defeat Starro, and it gets a very disgusting moment in the film. So he may not be all that interesting, but his javelin plays an important part in Harley Quinn's life and in this movie in some pretty significant action sequences. Kicking off our top 10 is Soria. Now, this is a character that wasn't really familiar with while going into this movie, and so she's kind of the voice of this island, Quarter Maltese, and she helps the Suicide Squad, like, because they have the same objective to defeat Starro the Conqueror, and so she's the voice of the Suicide Squad. She's kind of the character that basically helps them out from the under guy, kind of like the guy in the chair of Spider-Man Homecoming. That's basically what she is, and she gets it in a bit on the action. So, not one of the more interesting characters, but an okay one nonetheless. Number 9, The Thinker. Now, this film is all about stopping Project Starfish. However, The Thinker is one of the villains of this movie and is the one that caused Project Starfish. He is the character that kind of is kind of the Clemson Mern of this team, if you watched Peacemaker. And he's kind of that person who helps them out to stop what he initially created. Once again, he's not really given a huge backstory or anything like that, or anything that makes him perfectly distinctive of the characters higher up on this list. But he's a fine enough character for what he was meant to do in this film. Kicking off our top 8, Amanda Waller. This is a character that first appeared in the 2016 version yet again, and returns to this film for more of the same stuff. But she is a terrible person who's willing to blow up people's heads in order for them to do this mission for her. She is highly responsible for Task Force X, as well as Project Starfish and Project Butterfly. And so this is a character that she is a horrible person from the 2016 version to the Suicide Squad to Peacemaker, but a fun, horrible person that makes her one of the good villains of the DCEU. Coming in at number 7, sorry, I totally butchered that, is Harley Quinn. Now, this is another character that returns from the 2016 film and is very popular on this list. She's probably the most popular member of the Suicide Squad on this list, and she is given a lot to do in this movie. She starts off in Team 1, where she's like on the plane and on the helicopter talking to the other members of the Suicide Squad. Nice little bomb with Javelin there. And then she gets arrested, then kills somebody, then gets tortured, then has an awesome solo action scene with a javelin. And so she's given a lot to do in this movie. And honestly, I wanted to have her more higher up on this list than I actually did. But the reason she's not higher up on this list is because she is a character that basically she doesn't join Team 2 until 75% of the movie. And so she does have some awesome action sequences, but not really featured prominently throughout the film. Number 6, Polka-Dot Man, a character that I thought was a silly choice to put in this movie. And then they found a way to ground him a bit in this film by giving him his own little backstory about how his mother used to experiment on him. That gives him a whole little new flair to him that makes him pop in Squad. Also, he can be very funny at times and very serious at times. And he gets a silly but heroic death as he talks to his mother. And so, this is a character that I thought was pretty silly in the first place, that he was being included in a James Gunn rated R Suicide Squad movie. And they found a way to make him a lot more grounded than I ever thought they would be able to do with the guy that shoots polka dots out of his hands. Number 5, Bloodsport. The character that is the leader of this Team 2 members of the Suicide Squad. And he is just featured prominently throughout the movie. And he actually gets a significant arc throughout the film, much like Polka-Dot Man. Part of that is because at the beginning, he has this relationship with his daughter that they establish quite frequently. And then, through the Suicide Squad and his mission on Corto Maltese of Project Butterfly and stuff, he gains the respect of his daughter as he is able to see her again. He's able to be out of prison because he's kind of the hero of Corto Maltese because of this. And it's just very profound stuff as they establish him, and then he exits the film as a very different character. And also throughout the film, I like how they made him communicate with the members of the Suicide Squad just enough so that he could come up with a plan for whatever they were going to do with him in this film. And so this is a character that I thought was very grounded in the way he was used and had an actual good arc throughout it. Number 4, Ratcatcher 2, a character that I had no idea who it was when they first did that roll call clip. And immediately she was kind of the heart, the core of the team that tries to bring everyone together. Part of that is because she has this backstory with her father that they clearly establish, and we learn it through Bloodsport's view. And so Bloodsport relates to Ratcatcher. And so that was a nice little bit that they added, and I thought that was pretty significant to Bloodsport's arc as well. Also, she is kind of the character that is the most good intention. She doesn't settle things through super ultra violence like the rest of the members on the squad do. She's the person that is always calm and is trying to bring the team back together. And so she's a character that I had no idea who it was when I first saw her, and found a way to actually give her a backstory and explain why she is the way she is, why she's so calm compared to a bunch of other members of this squad. Kicking off our top 3 is King Shark, the cute animal in this film, and he is just very awesome. Surprisingly, he is voiced by Sylvester Stallone, and he fits his voice well into a talking shark with shorts. And even if he's the guy like tearing people apart to pieces, even if he's the one eating humans, he's always a lot of fun when he's on screen. Now, of course, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't really talk to any of the members quite properly, but he gets the most funny moments inside the film and gets some of the most awesome sequences inside the film. And he's voiced by the great Sylvester Stallone. So this was a character that I thoroughly enjoyed throughout the movie. Now, he actually used to be number 1 on this list, but thinking about it, he didn't really say much frequent language, so I thought that, but I still think he's a great character. It's just he's held back because he's not really the most grounded. He doesn't have a backstory, no arc, anything. But he's a fun character who adds something vibrant to the mix of this group of weirdos. Our runner-up is Peacemaker. Now, this is a character that had I just based it off the Suicide Squad, he would have been much lower. It's a dramatic lack of quality. But he was in Peacemaker. And so let me start off by telling him what they do in Suicide Squad. James Gunn intentionally made him the least likable character. And then throughout the film, and they announced the show, you're just like, there's no possible way that you could make this character likable. And James Gunn found a way to do just that. Part of the reason why is because he's this jingoistic killer who does a bunch of bad things in the Suicide Squad, but then in Peacemaker, they flesh out more of his backstory to explain why he kills people for peace, why he doesn't care how many men, women, and children he need to kill to get it. It explains all of that in the show and how his father used to make him fight his brother. And so that was very grounded, and he has the biggest arc throughout Peacemaker, his own show. Through Project Butterfly, through communicating with hardcore Adebayo and economists and Vigilante, he learns the true badness of killing. And of all the characters on this list, he's the one that becomes an actual superhero. And that is just so profound as he learns, oh no, killing is so bad. Like, killing is not a good thing. And so he stops being a villain, and I thought he was much improved by his own show. And so he made it as one of the best of all 17 of these members. But coming in first place is Colonel Flag. To be clear, the 2016 version, he wasn't all that good of a character. He was probably the worst character in the 2016 version. But I'm basing this ranking just off of the James Gunn's world of the DCEU, and Rick Flag is a very great character. Joel Kinnaman nails the performance in the Suicide Squad when he is James Gunnified and giving a whole lot of liveliness to him. And also, because he spent so much time with the squad of characters, you actually see him get to communicate with everybody, and he knows how to interact with all of these different wacky characters. And he was actually the person responsible for the TV show Peacemaker to take place, and what Peacemaker's actions really do, because when he gets killed by Peacemaker, Peacemaker learns the importance of not killing in his own show, and he kind of says that final line, "Peacemaker, what a joke," that just sets the stage for the show as well. So he basically created the events of the show to happen. Also, he's just a great, lively character, and he basically, much like Ratcatcher, pulls this team together the most, and he knows how to communicate with this group of weirdos more than anybody, even Waller. And he is just a nice, fun little addition. He's the most grounded of the Suicide Squad members. He is probably the most charismatic, as well as he knows how to, as like I said many times, he knows how to communicate with these characters in several different ways, and Bloodsport takes the mantle of that when he dies. And so for me, Rick Flag is my favorite of the Suicide Squad members. Be sure down below in the comment section to share your ranking of the Suicide Squad members. Also, I have done more content rankings like this over on my channel. You can check those out when this video is over. Also, be sure to, if you enjoyed this video, click that like button and be sure to subscribe. It helps a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.